So welcome all of you. Today we are going to discuss on the GS Paper 3 Science and Technology questions. In fact, behind me as you can see an important question based on the current affairs related but also related to the space science and technology concept, and is also quite interesting also in terms of understanding of this question and explanation. So launched on 25th December 2021, as we can see, James Webb Space Telescope has been much in news since then. What are its unique features which make it superior to its predecessor space telescope? The predecessor space telescope here refers to the Hubble Space Telescope. That is the most important point here. Now, which makes it superior? What are the key goals of this mission and what potential benefits does it holds for the human race? So this is a 15 marks question. Now regarding this James Webb Space Telescope, first of all, so this is a joint collaboration of NASA, European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency. They together launched the James Webb Space Telescope. And it was the Ariane 5 rocket. It was the Ariane 5 rocket that was used to launch this space telescope. As we can see here, or before this, so we can see James Webb Space Telescope. So that is also called Webb. It is a large space-based observatory developed by NASA, European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency. The primary goals of this mission is about to study about the galaxies, the stars. So it is looking deep into the space. Now deep into the space, which provides a greater insight into the origin, evolution of galaxies and our solar system, the planets, which also helps in also correlating with the Big Bang and the origin of life. We all know that in order to enter into the deep space astronomy, we need a type of resolution that will support to collect data in terms of infrared radiations. Now, this is to study galaxy, star and the planet, how these initial galaxies, they look like, what are their composition, and about the planets and the formation of universe. If we see here the image as you can see behind me, so you can see, you can compare on the right side, this is the infrared imaging and on the left side is visible imaging. So which has better clarity, resolution? Definitely in terms of the infrared. So infrared is providing better clarity in terms of the deeper insight into the space, where you can see the stars are more visible, the cloud, the dust, associated galaxies are more visible. So this is associated with the infrared imaging technique. So now first of all, if you look into the infrared astronomy, as you can see, stars and planets that are just forming like hidden behind cocoons of dust. So to provide better visibility, we need the help of what? Infrared astronomy. So that must be part of that space telescope. Then only we can, infrared light emitted by these regions, they can penetrate this dusty shroud and reveal what is inside. Now when we compare Webb Space Telescope with that of the Hubble, the basic difference lies in terms of the Webb, as we discussed, primarily it is using the infrared, while Hubble is using what? Optical and the visible, ultraviolet wavelength and the optical. So optical or the visible wavelength, another one is the ultraviolet wavelength. If we compare the basic features of Hubble and the James Webb, so we can see here the segmented mirror in case of the James Webb. So the mirror size 6.5 meter, the mirror size at 2.4 meter. So it provides a wider resolution in terms of the mirror size here. And you can see 18 segmented mirrors in case of the James Webb Space Telescope. Now in case of the James Webb Space Telescope primary mirror, so this is the primary mirror what we are seeing here. So there are 18 segments in this mirror which will provide better resolution and also clarity of images. So this segmented mirror, what will happen, they will be able to capture the light more minutely to provide better clarity in terms of resolution of images. So we can see the Hubble primary mirror. So this is the peculiarity and how from its predecessor, how it is superior in terms of the features associated with the space-based telescope. So Webb will have approximately 6.5 meter in diameter, whereas Hubble has just smaller, that is 2.4 meter in diameter. So that makes a huge difference in terms of the large collecting area present for the James Webb Space Telescope than the Hubble. Then another important difference that we can see here is in terms of the sun shield size of the James Webb Space Telescope. So that is massive, the size of a tennis court you can see. So the Webb sun shield is about 22 meters by 12 meters, so the size of a tennis court. So that also provides efficiency in the functioning of the James Webb Space Telescope. Now another important point is the location of this observatory, the space, it is acting as space observatory. So location is also very important here. As you can see now, the earth is 150 kilometer from the sun. So we can see sun and the earth 150 kilometer. That is the distance. Now based on that, we have to look into the distance of Hubble, 570 kilometer from the earth, whereas for James Webb, so that is 1.5 million kilometer, and that also in the L2. Now L2 Lagrange point, that also gives advantage to our James Webb Space Telescope. This because at the Lagrange point, what we'll find that the gravitational pull of sun, earth and moon, so that will be now least over this particular Lagrange point. At the same time, it also provides stable, cool environment, doing away with the thermal radiations of the moon, the sun for the James Webb Space Telescope. Because purity of data will be ensured here. Now we can see telescope arrives at observation point. So this is the L2 observation point, the Lagrange point that we discussed just now. So sun, earth, L2 point is where Webb's orbit around the sun is synchronized with the earth. Then at this distance, Webb is free from all the thermal influences of earth and all eclipses also. So this particular Lagrange point, it provides a stable environment, dark cloud and stable environment to carry out its mission discovery. So this is the uniqueness about the location of the James Webb Space Telescope. So once again we can see the Lagrange point, the L2, the location for the observation of this observatory, James Webb Space Telescope. So L2 point, Webb's solar shield will block the light from the sun, earth and the moon. So solar shield is blocking the light from the sun, earth and the moon. This will help Webb stay cool, which is very important for the infrared telescope. So these are certain special features which are associated with our James Webb Space Telescope that makes it now that is superior to its predecessor Hubble Space Telescope. Now regarding the James Webb Space Telescope, how it provides an insight into the stellar nurseries, the formation of galaxies, how deeper to what extent it can go. So we all know, we are aware of the redshift phenomena, that according to the general theory of relativity of Einstein, the universe is still expanding, state of expansion. So we know about the phenomenon known as redshift. If the stars, galaxies are receding away from us, so this means the wavelength should shift towards what? The red. So that is what is called the redshift, explaining the expansion of universe. Now this James Webb Space Telescope, to what extent it can go? So it is how it is associated with the Big Bang. So Big Bang, as we discussed 13.5 billion years ago, the entire universe is a hot dense mass exploded with the Big Bang, and that resulted now the expansion of universe. And the energy which was trapped in the Big Bang, that is still permeating in the entire universe. So from Big Bang, it is associated with what? Now currently the cosmic microwave background radiation we can see here, then the first stars and the galaxies. The elements, the chemistry of life, if we try to link with the Big Bang and the James Webb Space Telescope, the findings. In fact, we all know that the nuclear fusion, the energy source for stars is the hydrogen that fuses to form the helium. So similarly, birth of other elements also has occurred, the carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, that can give rise to the DNA, the chemistry of life that we associate with the human race in fact. So when we compare the observation of Hubble with that of the James Webb, so we compare in terms of that, because the time it takes light to travel, the farther away and away from an object, the farther back in the time we are looking into. Hubble's can see the equivalent of toddler galaxies, and Webb is looking into what? Baby galaxies. In the evolution, it is going more deeper into the understanding of the galaxies. So infrared telescope like Webb are ideal for observing these early galaxies based on the redshift phenomena. So we can see that when we talk about the most distant objects Einstein general relativity actually comes into play. It tells that expansion of the universe means it is the space between objects that actually stretch, causing objects, galaxies to move away from each other. So further, any light that in space that will stretch, shifting to light wavelength to longer wavelength, that is the redshift that we discussed. That is why the infrared telescope like Webb are ideal for observing these early galaxies. So these are some of the uniqueness associated with the James Webb Space Telescope. Now the next question, as we can see here, what is the basic principle behind a vaccine development? How do these vaccines work? And what approaches were adopted by Indian manufacturers to produce the COVID-19 vaccines? Now this is a longer question. For 250 words we have to write. So we have to deal elaborately the basic principle and how the vaccines work. Now if you look into the development of a vaccine, it is a complex process. Generally a vaccine development requires 10 years. In terms of the COVID-19, based on the pandemic impact on the society, it was streamlined, it was expedited for the benefit of the humanity. But generally a vaccine takes 10 years to introduce, because there are two important fundamental principles that the vaccine has to ensure. One is the safety of the vaccine, second one is the efficacy of the vaccine. Safety of the vaccine means that the vaccine should avoid any serious adverse reactions on the vaccinated body, and the benefits of the vaccine should far outweigh the risk of the vaccine. The second one is efficacy of the vaccine. Efficacy of the vaccine means protection from severity of disease and the death. So these two are important parameters. Now coming to the principle that is in terms of development of the vaccine. So the safety efficacy will be tested during the clinical trial, preclinical trial also. So first of all, if you look into the development of the vaccine, then it is the research and development aspect, the first one. So research and development aspects means exploratory phase. Of the vaccine. So research and development, that considering the type of pathogen, whether virus or bacteria, genome sequencing of the virus or bacteria, which provide details of that particular pathogen. So based on that now, whether the whole virus should be used or fragment of the virus should be used as a vaccine, or antigen of the virus should be used as a vaccine, that will be determined in the development phase of the vaccine, that is research and development aspect. So here we are preparing the blueprint of the vaccine, research and development. And after preparing blueprint now, then it passes to rigorous phases of trials. So preclinical trial, this preclinical trial that is tested in case of the lab animals. So small lab animals like mice, rat, they can be used here for this to ensure safety of the vaccine before we enter into the human volunteers who provide their consent for the clinical trial. Now clinical trial, this phase 1, 2 and 3, they are the part of the clinical trial of the vaccine into the human volunteers. Human volunteers. Now here we are ensuring, for example, taking a small sample in phase 1, 100, in phase 2, 1000, and here a larger sample of 10,000 in phase 3. So beginning with the safety in phase 1, safety of the vaccine, which is of prime importance. Safety means here basically that in immune response to the vaccine, is there any adverse reaction that can harm the vaccinated person? So that will be ensured in the safety of the vaccine. Then gradually we start also testing in second one the dose of the vaccine along with the safety. Dose of the vaccine along with the safety of the vaccine. So this will also include the immune response, but here the focus more will be on the dose of the vaccine here. And in phase 3, that is in a larger sample now, we are testing the same vaccine. So here we will determine the dose, safety and also efficacy part. Efficacy will be used here in case of the efficacy. So dose, safety and the efficacy. So efficacy, as I told you, that it is about the to protect from what? The severity of disease and the death. So to what extent it can protect the population. So that we tested in the phase 3, efficacy of the vaccine. So it includes immunotolerance of the individual to the vaccine, it includes the safety, the dose, and also the gap. It may be the primary dose, maybe single dose, double dose. So that is going to be determined during these phases only. Then ultimately, when these phases are considered to be adequate in terms of data, in terms of transparency, then it has to pass through Biologics Licensing Application, BLA. So it will go for, so before manufacturing, they have to get the license based on this clinical trial now. Now phase 4. Phase 4 comes when vaccine has been introduced to the real world, and now we are also gathering data about the adverse reactions by the introduction of a vaccine in the real world. So any adverse events due to the use of vaccine will be reported under the phase 4. So that is in case of the phase 4. Now in a pandemic like situation, after phase 2, the vaccine was released for most of the vaccines within 12 to 18 months. It was expedited. So definitely it was the coordinated effort of the government agencies and the biotechnology companies. They came together to expedite the vaccine of the COVID-19. But these are the various phases of development of a vaccine, any vaccine. So vaccine development, we can see, is a long and complicated process that can take place as 10 to 15 years. It consists of different stages and phases that involve thorough research and many tests before the final vaccine is approved and manufactured at a massive scale. But with advanced technology, medical expertise and quick approval, experts are of the opinion that it may take about 12 to 18 months before the COVID-19 vaccine is ready for the public. Now, how do vaccines work? So we can see here that as a vaccine, we can see the disease causing organism. This could be virus, bacteria. So we are using antigen of this particular pathogen, fragment of the pathogen as a vaccine here. It can be used. We can use even the whole pathogen. So there are different forms of vaccine that we use today. But generally the vaccine role is to induce immune response in our body. Vaccine will help develop memory cells in our body. So if you look into the principle of vaccination, then vaccine virus or its antigen, when it is introduced into the human body, then this is going to trigger immune response into the lymphocytes, which are a type of white blood cells, and then this transforms into antigen specific lymphocytes called memory cells. Now these memory cells are antigen specific lymphocyte. For example, if we consider COVID-19 virus, that is the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now SARS-CoV-2 virus has the spike protein, and spike protein, this is the target antigen. Target antigen to develop antibody by using a vaccine. So any vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, basically the target antigen is the spike protein, because the spike protein attaches to the human lung cells to cause infection. So based on this, after any vaccine, when the memory cells get established, so these memory cells, they produce secondary immune response. And the secondary immune response will act as what? Vaccine induced immunity. Vaccine induced immunity, including both cell mediated immunity and humoral immunity. Humoral immunity, also known as antibody mediated immunity. Antibody mediated immunity. So after vaccination, when the body comes into contact with the real pathogen or virus, then these memory cells, they produce specific antibodies. For example, anti-SARS-CoV-2 antibody. Now this anti-SARS-CoV-2 antibody represented by the symbol Y here, when the real virus enters, the real pathogen or the virus, then these antibodies, they are going to block the spike protein of the virus. So these antibodies, they block the virus infection. Suppose this is your SARS-CoV-2 virus and this is the spike protein against which, based on COVID-19 vaccine example, that antibodies will block the attachment of the virus to the cells. So this is how the vaccines, they do work in our body. Now coming to the next part of the question about Indian manufacturers developing COVID-19 vaccine. So Indian manufacturers who developed the COVID-19 vaccines. So these Indian manufacturers include, as we know, Serum Institute of India, Pune. Now they developed, now what is the approach they used? So they developed what? Covishield vaccine. Covishield vaccine. And Covishield vaccine, the approach is what? It is a viral vector vaccine. Viral vector vaccine. So first we list out the important vaccine developed by Indian manufacturers. The second one is the Bharat Biotech Covaxin. And what is the approach here used? So this is an inactivated vaccine which contains non-replicating SARS-CoV-2 virus. So these two have been the dominant vaccine used in India to control the COVID-19 pandemic. Then the third one, so recently in heterologous, Government of India has given approval, the green light, in heterologous, that those people who have been already vaccinated with either Covishield, Covaxin as a booster dose, they can be administered now Biological E company, another Indian manufacturer, Corbevax vaccine. Corbevax, this is a recombinant subunit peptide vaccine. Recombinant subunit peptide vaccine. As a recombinant subunit peptide vaccine, here we are using protein of the virus, that is spike protein of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, uses the vaccine in case of the Corbevax. Then the fourth important one is India developed the world's first DNA vaccine, and that is the Zydus Cadila plus Department of Biotechnology. They together developed this ZyCoV-D vaccine, and this is the DNA vaccine or recombinant plasmid DNA vaccine or recombinant plasmid DNA. So these are the name of the specific approaches adopted. So there are different technology platform approaches used by the Indian manufacturer to develop the vaccine. So Serum Institute of India. Then all of you are aware of that some of the Sputnik vaccines also manufactured by Dr. Reddy's, which is also a viral vector vaccine, the Sputnik. So this viral vector vaccine here we used what? So this is a non-replicating chimpanzee adenovirus, non-replicating chimpanzee adenovirus carrying S gene or genetic code encoding spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 virus. Spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 virus. And Covaxin, as we discussed, inactivated SARS-CoV-2 virus. Corbevax, recombinant subunit peptide vaccine. So here the protein of the virus, spike protein of the virus uses the vaccine, and this is the DNA vaccine, recombinant plasmid DNA vaccine. So these are the basic approaches and the name of the vaccine that developed by the Indian manufacturers. So now coming to the next question. Now the next question that is related to the rise in life expectancy in the countries, whether it is developed economies, definitely like Japan, we know, but nowadays there is now with the demographic shift is towards that low middle income countries also, including India. So we are showing increase in life expectancy over the years. So due to which, what are the challenges of the aging population that the country may face and how to overcome those challenges? That is about this particular question. So newer health challenges related to increased life expectancy. Now average additional years of life a person lives, that becomes the life expectancy of that particular country. So average number of years or additional years a person survives, but whether it is quality of life or not, that is also very important in that one. Now quality of life, that is healthy aging. So how we can promote healthy aging is the question about, and what steps could be taken. First of all, what are the challenges that we come across? So we can see here, it is said that according to WHO, between 2015 and 2050, the second half of this century, the world's population over 60 years is going to double from 12% to 22%. So this is the enormity of the issue. Now by 2020, number of people is 60 years and older, outnumbering what? The children younger than 5 years. In 2050, 80% of older people, 80% of older people will be living in low and middle income countries. And the pace of population aging is much faster than in the past because of that medical advancement. All countries face major challenges in that their health and social system are ready to take most of this demographic shift. So this is, we can see here, the global average life expectancy has reached to the level of 72.6, and this is almost the same for India also, individual country. Now since the 1900, the global average life expectancy has more than doubled. At the same time, Central African Republic, they have the lowest life expectancy, 52.8, and we discussed the sovereign state Japan has higher. So about 30% of Japan population is now considered to be the aging population. and here the life expectancy reached to 84.2. Now, what are the common health conditions associated with the aging? Now, one is the mental health conditions that we know: dementia, depression. Apart from that, what are the non-communicable diseases that may creep in? So, we can see here the hearing loss, cataract. So, that is an aging disorder, we all know the cataract. Refractive errors, back and neck pain, osteoarthritis. Then over a period of time, the type of environment we are living, which is a polluted environment, PM 2.5, then it can also intensify the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So, this will reduce the overall surface area of oxygenation of lungs and making the body vulnerable to various diseases because compromised lungs. So, then you can see diabetes mellitus, depression and the dementia. So, these are the various age related conditions, health conditions that are going to be faced by any country who is part of this aging process. Then apart from that, older age is also characterized by geriatric syndrome. So, old age syndrome in terms of, you can see the consequent multiple underlying factors. Frailty. Frailty means here that is the loss of strength of the muscle mass, loss of strength of the bone, osteoporosis. Then there is also a fall of fear. That is the fear of falling for older people is also a part of it. Then urinary incontinence, falls, delirium and the pressure ulcers. So, bed sores also can happen due to the constant chronic lying on the bed condition. Now, apart from this, we have also to focus on the mental health also is a major issue. So, in mental health we can see and well-being are important in older age as at any other time of life. So, neurological disorder in the form of, as we discussed, dementia, the dementia and the that is depression, Alzheimer's disease. Approximately 15% adults age 60 and above suffer from some mental disorder. So, another age related disorder, mental health is what? Alzheimer's disease, which also lowers the quality of life. Now, according to World Health Organization, we can say the basic symptoms of your dementia: difficulties with everyday tasks, people may feel confusion in similar environment, difficulty with words and numbers, memory loss, changes in mood and behavior. These are the basic symptoms associated with the dementia. So, dementia is a syndrome and is also progressive in nature, where there is deterioration in memory, thinking, behavior and the ability to perform everyday activities. So, it is going to affect the quality of life of the individuals. Depression, it goes undiagnosed. In low middle income countries, it goes undiagnosed. People do not recognize it, of the isolation, depression. So, leads to impaired functioning in the daily life. So, it is both underdiagnosed and underrated in primary healthcare settings, and symptoms are often overlooked. Now comes that how we can overcome this. The increased life expectancy, that is inevitable, but how health related challenges could be overcome. So, first of all, this means we have to adopt healthy aging. Now, for healthy aging, it means the process of developing, maintaining the functional ability that enables well-being of the individual. So, to maintain that functional ability and to foster healthy aging, WHO came out with a report that is Global Strategy and Action Plan on Aging and Health Advocate for Major Reforms to Health and Long-Term Care System. Now, based on this healthy aging is also part of the goal 3 of Sustainable Development Goal, as we can see here, for health and well-being, for which foundation universal health coverage is a part of Sustainable Development Goal 3. WHO defines that there should be integrated patient-centered care. Integrated patient-centered care here means for the older people that we have to consider it as a continuum of health promotion, disease prevention, diagnosis, treatment, disease management, rehabilitation and the palliative care services. So integrated healthcare approach is needed to reduce the health related challenges. Then the other parameters to deal with the healthy, that is to promote healthy aging, it includes to focus on age friendly environment, So we all know that the physical, social, economic environment has a direct influence on the aging. So if we want to provide the stability, the confidence, community support, that will come only through what? Age-friendly environment. So physical, social, economic environment, these are important determinants of healthy aging and powerful influences in the experience of aging. Age-friendly environment are better places in which to grow, work, play. So continuous involvement through the right approach of the age-friendly environment of the old age people, that will help reduce their frailty. They are created by removing physical and social barriers. Even when they lose capacity, continue to do things they value. Then another one is we have combating ageism. So there is a stigmatization, there is a bent of mind through a negative attitude towards the old age symptoms or old age, the aging issues. So stereotyping, how we think, prejudice. So despite many contributions of these older people to the society with wide diversity, there are negative attitudes about older people are common across societies and are seldom challenged. So we need to challenge the stereotype, how we think, prejudice, how we feel, and discrimination towards people on the basis of their age. Ageism affects people of all ages, but has primarily harmful effect on their health and well-being. Then long-term care. So significant declines in physical and mental capacity can limit older people's ability to care for themselves and to participate in the society. So access to assistive technologies, access to rehabilitation and supportive, inclusive environment can improve the situation. However, many people reach a point in their lives when they can no longer care for themselves without any physical assistance. So physical assistance, one in developed economies, they can go for what? The role of the robots, the robot assisted components. But more important is what? The community support, support of the family, support of the society. Access to good quality long-term care is essential for such people to maintain their functional ability, enjoy basic human rights, and they live with dignity. Then we should also focus on providing security and freedom, adequate housing through supportive housing policy. So government policy intervention also should support the adequate housing through supportive housing policy. Social support for older people and their caregivers. Healthy and social program targeted at vulnerable groups. Program to prevent and deal with elder abuse, community development program. So our approach towards healthy aging should be in the context of early diagnosis in order to promote early and optimal management. So the more early we detect the development of the dementia or depression, the better we are able to overcome those old age issues. Then identifying and treating accompanying physical illness. So the proper diagnosis and the palliative care if it is required. Detecting and managing challenging the behavior, providing information and long-term supportive cares. So these are some of the assistance or in the form of community support and also policy intervention for treatment and also rehabilitation that we can promote healthy approach, promote healthy aging in the society. So this is about the discussion of the science and technology questions from my side. Thank you. So wish you all the best to all of you.